honestly, somebody might know somebody who's a VA. It's not about just the viewer, it's about who they're gonna share that with, right? So we'll have a session tomorrow for an hour where you guys just pitch ideas and we quickly come up with a really good hook for the video. And then you'll start to think the same way. You'll start to be like, oh shit. One guy called me and Trev the other day on a call, we did this for an hour. They're like, you guys are machines, man. But it's not that we're like geniuses, it's just that we got in the mode of writing these and now we start thinking in these terms. So you'll have the same thing, it just takes time. So I'm gonna show you guys, obviously I showed you how to use it to improve conversions by actually driving traffic. Don't just hide it and hope people come to your IG, like actually send them there. So if I'm meeting Renee for the first time, I don't have my business card. I just say, bro, let me text you. I'll text you my info. Let's connect later. And he's like, okay, cool, yeah, let me text you. And then I text him, Instagram.com/Neil Holm. And then in his IG, if you have a iPhone, I don't know if it works on Android, but it shows a preview of my IG, and they click it and go learn about me, and they can get that 0 to like 70% up that mountain fast, just from the videos. So I would start using that, get instant credibility. Tomorrow I'll talk about this for YouTube. I made a video, Omar helped me title it. It's "Don't Buy a Home in 2023," and without watching this. So every new lead I get, I'm like, hey, nice to meet you, Joe. Next step is blah, blah, blah. By the way, I made a video about all the opportunities I'm seeing in this market. And then literally the hook, like the actual title of the video is the hyperlink. Don't buy a home in 2023 without watching this. And so all these cold leads that they were gonna ghost us are clicking that video. In that video, there's calls to action to book a strategy call with us. So we're getting them in that middle step. And that was, again, another part where you start here, you end here. The middle step is watch that video. And now that gets you here. So I'm using the content, I'm using my Instagram to pull you the rest of the way home. It's getting you to like second or third base, and then we can close. Everyone else is trying to close from home. So you're trying to literally hit home runs today. And I'm just saying, like, let's get some base hits first. So more DM combos is how we're gonna do this with IG. And so what I do is I post a lot of stories, like I said, to spark conversation. I also send people DMs to thank them for sharing my video, or thank them for whatever. Like, hey dude, thanks for engaging with my content. Notice blah, blah, blah. Drop a comment on their stuff. And you can do stories with calls to action. That's what I'm gonna show you real quick, just some quick examples. Here was an example of me really just thanking people for sharing my content. And I'll show you, when you start to get shares, it will tell you who shared the content. And you can go to their page and go to their stories. And every time you respond to someone's story with even emoji, or you can write something, it starts a conversation with this guy. So what I do is I will do this, and right away, thanks for sharing. I love your IG, thanks for sharing the advice. Like, we did this live on a call the other day, and then the lady responded right away. She was like, oh, I love your stuff. Dude, I do this for 20, 30 people a day. Every single time I respond to a story and say thanks for sharing, it starts a conversation with that person. I have an open line of communication with that individual. Now we're gonna see each other's content more. Also, what's gonna happen there is now they may have a question about real estate or finance that they weren't gonna ask, but because we started a conversation about the donuts that day or something dumb, now we have an open line, they'll start telling you those questions. So it's just opening it. Go ahead, Omar.
Just a power tip is you can go, if you have an iPhone at least.
Yeah, quick response.
By the way, if you have an Android, you can leave. I'm joking. You can go in your settings and just set a shortcut cut, so you can put T4S or TFS.
Yep.
And then it can go, thanks for sharing with the emojis. So when you're doing these.
And I'll change emoji too, because I'll have like 2 of them, and I'll just copy paste, even copy paste, quick shortcuts, whatever. And in the beginning, you only have to do it for 3 people, because you only got 3 shares. It's like, now it's hard, it's like a bunch of shares, but in the beginning, it's not that hard. But you might just make a comment on, you might just ask someone, you might thank someone for engaging with your content, like for dropping a comment on it.
You guys made a video.
So this was, we had a guy who was getting a lot of out-of-state deals. So how many of you are licensed in multiple states? So you'll start to see that your content reaches more than just your local market. You can leverage it for local business, but don't ignore the fact that, hey, people are watching this in Utah, in Texas, in Florida. And so what we did was we got licensed in 26 states now. But for realtors, you can just refer. Me and Dee talked about this the other day. Like, she has a referral-only brokerage. Literally, all she does is she would get the lead, refer it out, collect 1/3 referral fee. You don't even have to talk to the client after that, right? Somebody else is going to do the rest of the work, but you did the thing that was really valuable, which was acquire the client. Client acquisition is valued really high. That's why Zillow, Redfin get paid so much, and then they sell it to a realtor and they ask for a third of the money back because they acquired the client through their brand. You can do the same thing with your personal brand. So we asked you guys to all set up Calendly. Did you guys set up your Calendly accounts? Everybody did? Okay, so if you didn't do that, you have time, we'll help you do that, it's no problem. But we use Calendly to book these calls, and I'll show you tomorrow